If you want to succeed, there's one skill that beats them all, and that is grit. You've got to show up every day and put in the work and effort. These are the people who win through thick and thin in every field. Whether you're at West Point getting through the beast, which is the hardest part of West Point, where you're tested every second of the day, mentally and physically, militarily, or if you're trying to win a spelling bee, then you can throw talent out the door. That means nothing. That's just potential. It's the gritty people who win because they are not stopping. They have a purpose. Will Smith, Will Smith, the actor, sums up the philosophy of grit perfectly. I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented, he said. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. The only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. I will not be outworked, period. You might have more talent than me. You might be smarter than me. You might be sexier than me. You might be all those things. You got it on me in 9 categories. But if we get on the treadmill together, there's 2 things. First, you're getting off first, or I'm going to die. It's really that simple. So the people who have grit are studying their craft hours and hours a day because of this mentality. And they're showing up, 80% is just showing up. Woody Allen. This is worth tattooing on your arm. And when you do show up, do deliberate practice. Great people are not some mystery. Don't mythologize those people. If you think they're magical or born with some super gift, then all you're really doing is letting yourself off the hook. These people are doing great things by being active in one direction. They acquire greatness through hard work and effort. And we don't care about words like talent and genius here because it doesn't mean anything in comparison. Again, it doesn't mean anything in comparison to grit. This book is about being a craftsman. This is the craftsman who allows themselves time for it. These people take more pleasure in making the little secondary things more than the dazzling whole. I'm putting together a table. I'm going to enjoy making the legs more than seeing it all together. Because being an expert is about nuance. Knowing the nuances, the little things. And how do you get here? We'll say it again. Just show up and put in the effort. Effort. There's a cool little equation. Talent times effort equals skill. Skill times effort equals achievement. Angela Duckworth, she's incredible, isn't she? What a cool equation that she came up with. But notice what's so important here. Effort functions into the equation twice. And that's why it's the most important. You just put in the effort, that's all. Show up. The major advantage of grit is simply more time on task. And your focus is on that one thing for hours a day, and it's what you think about before you go to bed and obsess over. And once you know what you're doing and you're putting in this effort, you want to do deliberate practice. Professor, I've been jogging every day, but I'm not improving. That's interesting, the professor says. May I ask, do you have a specific goal for your training? To be healthy. Does that count? Look good in my jeans? Yes, but when you go for a run, do you have a target in terms of the pace you'd like to keep or a distance goal? In other words, is there a specific aspect of your running you're trying to improve? No, I guess not. Do you have a journal to keep track of your runs and to make your stretch goals? Do you have a coach? That's why you're not improving. You're not going to improve unless you're doing deliberate practice. This is how experts practice with stretch goals. First, you find your Achilles heel, the specific aspect of your work that needs solving. What is your Achilles heel? Figure that out. Then you set a stretch goal to get there. Then with undivided attention and great effort, experts strive to reach their stretch goal. And 70% of this is doing it by yourself. Then you start all over with a new stretch goal. And that's why you need a coach or a teacher for feedback. This deliberate practice is for preparation, and getting in that flow state is for performance. You need both, and your sense of purpose will get you there. This definition of purpose that Angela gives really nails it on the head. I have never heard this good of a definition of purpose. Here's what she says. Purpose means the intention to contribute to the well-being of others. Wow! The gritty people who are the most are dramatically motivated more than others to seek a meaningful, other-centered life. That doesn't mean you don't want to do things for your own pleasure, but if we're talking about purpose and motivation, these are the people who are succeeding. And there are so many other points that we didn't even touch in this book. I mean, God, you really have to read this book. But let me add one more thing, which was from Dan Chambliss, who studied swimmers. He says, the most important thing, the real way to become a great swimmer is to join a great team. That's because if you're in a culture, if you're in a crowd of people doing things a certain way, then you follow along. If everybody's getting up at 4 a.m, it's no big deal. It becomes a habit. So it seems to me, Dan concluded, that there's a hard way to get grit and an easy way. The hard way is to do it by yourself. Easy way is to use conformity, the basic human drive to fit in, because if you're around a lot of people who are gritty, you're gonna act grittier. Make sure to buy Grit by Angela Duckworth. Thank you for joining me today. If you had a fun time, please subscribe, share this video with a friend, and I'll see you next Friday. I can't wait to see you next week. It was great, as always.